is nothing more powerful than imagining our community coming together to do something sacred, holy, and impactful. Mitzvah613 will allow us to do just that, to come together as a community, not only to write in the Torah, but to create Torah, and allow that Torah to inspire us to living a holy life, living our Torah values in the everyday. I'm so excited to imagine a day where we all come to put our letter in the Torah, to give a little tzedakah in order to help Jewish life and Jewish education, and to allow us to bring holiness into the world. I can't wait for it to happen. One of the most amazing passages in the Torah is Lo Bashamayim Hi, when God tells the Israelites that the Torah is not in the heavens. The Torah is not so far away from them that it's across the ocean. They don't have to be a heavenly being or a Torah scholar to access it. But in fact, the Torah is everyone's. It's theirs. It's on their lips and it's in their hearts. I find this to be an incredibly inspiring message. And when each of us come to the Torah and we write that letter, it symbolizes to us that each of us can live Torah. Each of us can be holy and heavenly just as we are, if only we can be inspired by Torah. Thank God in my life I've had many powerful moments with Torah. One that stands out, though, that involves the Torah scroll itself, was on a federation trip to Israel. We were invited to the dedication ceremony of a Torah at an army base. The Torah was brought to the base, and all of us were able to celebrate that moment together. I remember dancing that Torah down the street of the base to the synagogue where it was going to be used. American, Israeli, Sephardic, Ashkenazic, Orthodox, conservative, Reform, and secular, all of us experiencing the joy of the Torah. In that moment, I realized how powerful Torah can be in uniting Jews of all kinds. And it reminded me also that Torah is the foundation of our Jewish identity.
I'm so excited that we are participating in Mitzvah613 as a community because it makes tangible something that's intangible but really crucial. The Torah belongs to all of us, men and women, children and seniors, rabbis, scholars, and non-rabbis, everybody. It's equally our story, our tradition. And when we together, each of us, are going to write letters in the Torah, we can see it, we can feel it, we can point to it and say, that is our Torah, all of us. One of my favorite parts in the Torah scroll is Exodus chapter 15, Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea. The Israelites are newly free. They walk through the split sea and they sing the song of thanksgiving to God. And we stand up in synagogue to recite this and we chant it in a special tune. But the best part is not what we hear, but what we see. Normally, the columns of Torah are filled with long blocks of justified text that don't have a lot of space between them. There's one column after another, but here it's different. The words open up. There's a lot of spaces, tabs between these letters. And after slavery, it means we can breathe. And there's room to breathe in the scroll itself. We see this and we feel it. We also see a ladder and it shows that we had to take steps in our march toward freedom. It's not just the words that we hear that tell a story, but the words in the scroll tell a story too. Perhaps the most powerful moment with the Torah for me happened at the bris for my 3 sons. And for my youngest son, Oren, it happened right here on this bima. When they were 8 days old, I took them in my hand, and I carried them to this spot right in front of the Torah. I took their little hand, and I curled the little fingers around this Eitz Chaim. And I said, this is the first day that you take hold of the Torah. Hold on to it, and never let go. And that moment for each of my sons was so powerful because it connected me to the future, to the next generation. but it was also very tactile, something I could hold on to, something I could touch. It wasn't a metaphor, it was real. And holding my son's hand and the Torah in my hand was a feeling I'll never forget.
Sometimes it seems like Judaism can be really intimidating. There's all these rules of halakha, all these prayers in Hebrew, different melodies, different tropes, and it can seem like it takes a lot of study to feel like you're in the know. I spent 4 years at JTS and I still have so much still to learn about what it means to live a life of Torah. And yet, whether you know an aleph from a tav, or you've had years of higher study and learning in Jewish studies, the Torah is yours. And I'm so excited that we're going to very physically and also symbolically take Torah into our own hands and add our letter to the Torah. I don't really have a favorite part per se, but I think on Simchat Torah, when we finish the Torah and then start it all over, I really like that. Because, for example, I really love to rewatch my favorite shows over and over again on Hulu or Netflix, you know? And I feel like it's really cool that the Jewish people does the same thing with Torah. Series finale, right back to the pilot episode. The Zot HaBracha, right back to Bereshit. We never stop reading. We always continue the cycle. I think that's probably my favorite part. I wasn't here for this story, but I heard it and it really hit me that a year into the pandemic, when things were lightening up, there was a friend of mine at their shul. They came back for the first Shabbat since they'd been away. And when they opened the Ark, the Torah basically nearly fell out. And luckily, someone caught it and it was okay and no one had to fast or anything like that. And immediately the rabbi pivots and frames what just happened. Everyone's standing there in shock. Oh my God, the Torah. And he says, how amazing is it that the Torah missed the Jewish people so much so that it was jumping out of the Ark to be reunited with us. And we should all be so eager to reunite with Torah. We should be jumping out of our seats to be with Torah just as that Torah jumped out of the Ark to be with us.
Why am I so excited in participating in this wonderful community project of writing a Torah? Toward the end of Deuteronomy, Devarim, it is said, V'ata kitvu etchem et hashira hazot. And now, write for you this song, this Torah. It's the 613th and final commandment of the Torah, to write your own Torah. It's a rare opportunity to participate in the magic, mystery, and history of writing a Torah, and right here at Bethel. It is said that each of us has our own letter in the Torah. Which one is yours? What's my favorite part of the Torah? For me, that's the hardest question of all. Is it Bereshit with the awe and amazement of creation, each day a new wonder? Is it the body of ethics found in Leviticus, Vayikra, chapter 19, with its capstone commandment, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself? But I think for me it's the Exodus, the journey from slavery to freedom, and the beautiful song, Shirat Hayam, the Shirah, a song of freedom sung by the children of Israel. Yes, to me that's really special, with its unique melody and beautiful metaphors. And besides, it was my bat mitzvah portion. And yes, that one was my daughter's as well. So yes, I would pick the Shirah of B'Shalach, Exodus 15, as mine.
'Cause 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 'Cause
What was my most powerful moment with the Torah? You might think it was my first time that I ever read, but you'd be wrong. I was so completely terrified that I'd make a mistake, I don't even remember that. No, it wasn't even the first time of so many that I chanted Shirat Hayam, the Shirah. Now, for me, the most powerful moments are when I escort the children of the congregation on a tour of the Torah, when it's unfurled, stretching across a large space. You might think I'm just a tour guide in those moments, but when I point out this portion or that portion, the 10 Commandments, the Shirah, Breshit, especially when it's just before, just after an upcoming bar bat mitzvah. Or maybe it's some other special verse or group of verses, and then I see the light of recognition in their eyes, the excitement in their smiles, and maybe even their parents. Yep, those are my most powerful moments with the Torah.